Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Right now, we are getting into our Baltimore Ravens 7-round mock draft. The NFL draft a couple months away. Free agency even closer. It is going to be a wild offseason for the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to dive into what they have going on a little bit with their team and then get into the mock draft. This is one of those teams, top 4 in the NFL, after that largely successful but ultimately disappointing run to the AFC title game and losing to the Chiefs in a disappointing way. The Ravens, they had their defensive staff poached in a big way. Mike McDonald is the head coach in Seattle. Anthony Weaver is in Miami as the defensive coordinator. Denard Wilson to Tennessee in the same role. So Zach Orr it is, a guy that they believe is homegrown, a guy that they love. He said in his press conference, hit everything that moves. That's going to be the mantra for the Ravens defense under Zach Orr. Kind of think it already was the mantra, right? The Ravens, though, they have $7 million in cap space per overthecap.com. They have a clear path to more cap space with cuts, extensions, restructures. They can do a lot. They have a lot of cap maneuverability this offseason. Probably move on from Morgan Moses, Tyus Bowser, or at least restructure those deals. You maybe rework Patrick Ricard or extend him, or maybe move on as well. You have Daniel Faalele behind Morgan Moses at right tackle. You might feel good about that. You have a draft class loaded with talent across the offensive line. So I do think that there's a lot of different things you could do there. They did just extend Nelson Aguilar, wide receiver, so he will be back for 2024. Even though, Ronnie Stanley, who is a premier left tackle in the NFL when healthy, he does have a hard time staying healthy. I can't move on from him because when I look at trying to claim that Super Bowl title once again in Baltimore, trying to win a championship, I think Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, if healthy, gives you the best chance to do that. And when you're talking about winning championships and odds of winning championships, give yourself the greatest chance to win the championship. And I think that's with Ronnie Stanley on your football team. Yeah, you got to plan for the future. But to me, I think you got to figure out a way to restructure that deal, lower that cap hit in 2024, and try to keep him around because you are in a championship window. You want to protect Lamar Jackson, protect the investment. I know there's a lot of talented tackles in this class, but you could potentially be needing 2 new guys at tackle and some interior offensive line as well. To me, I think you keep Ronnie Stanley, and that gives you a chance to have the best version of yourself in the playoffs in 2024. Patrick Queen, he is a free agent. Odell Beckham Jr. is a free agent. Justin Madubuike is a free agent. For me, I just don't think you can pay Patrick Queen what he's likely going to command on the open market when you're already paying, his running mate who came in, Roquan Smith. And Patrick Queen really improved once Roquan Smith got there. I think you can potentially replace Patrick Queen much cheaper. And I don't know if you want a rookie linebacker coming in to start at that spot. Maybe you put someone next to Roquan that's been there and done that. There's a lot of good guys on the market that are going to be much cheaper in Patrick Queen, in my opinion. Azeez Al-Shaair, Devin White you could potentially bring in. That's the type of guy that I think playing next to Roquan could see some of his best football. Obviously, hasn't been great for him the last few years in Tampa. Josie Jewell, a very good all-around linebacker. Blake Cashman, same thing. Jordan Hicks up there in age, but he can play. Willie Gay, maybe you poach from the Chiefs. That's a super athletic guy. I think you get Roquan Smith kind of teaching him up. Maybe he could have his best season as a pro. I think all of these guys could contribute. Drew Tranquil as well. Maybe you bring in a couple cheap veterans to platoon at the linebacker position next to Roquan Smith. You could also, say F it, bring in Levante David. I don't know how much he's going to cost at his age, but he is really good. I mean, if your linebacker duo is Roquan Smith and Levante David, even at his age, I think that could represent maybe the best duo in the NFL. Shouldn't be as expensive due to his age. You also have Trenton Simpson, right? Who could potentially come in and play a lot of snaps for you at linebacker. I'm looking at OBJ. I would want to bring him back. I know that he wasn't perfect for you in 2023, but this is a guy that I think if you can get him healthy for the playoffs, he can help you in a run. I mean, we've seen him do that, not too long ago, and he has been good for the Ravens when healthy. I think you try to bring back Justin Madubuike on a new deal. I don't really want to use the franchise tag on him because the Ravens, even though there's maneuverability within the cap, I don't think that they're going to have a ton of cap space, right? So if you can extend him, get him a new deal instead of using the franchise tag, that's going to help you out from a salary cap standpoint. If you can't, you can bring in someone else. There's no doubt about that. This is a deep free agent defensive line market in 2024. A lot of guys that could come in, and you don't necessarily need that impact from one player. You could potentially go get a couple guys that you think could give you combined the impact of a Justin Madubuike. I don't want to use the tag on him, as I mentioned. I don't think you have enough cap space really to do that and keep around some of the players you want to keep around. I think this is a team that should have learned valuable lessons in the AFC Championship game. Zay Flowers certainly did. I think others did too. You cannot abandon the run the way they did, even though they just felt like they couldn't run the ball with the way the Chiefs were kind of stacking the box and playing defense. But I believe you want to kind of run it back in a lot of ways to me in 2024, because this was a team that was firing on all cylinders for a lot of the season. They had an incredible amount of talent led by Lamar Jackson and a lot of other talented football players. This was a team that was as close to a juggernaut as you could find in 2023. If you can get back to the playoffs healthy, add a couple key pieces here and there, and draft well, which the Ravens generally do, I think you have a chance to take down the Chiefs, right? I expect Rashad Bateman, who is likely entering a contract year. I don't think they're going to pick up that fifth-year option. I would expect him to play at his best. That's what players do that are talented in their fifth-year option. They have their best season. So I think you could expect Rashad Bateman to play well. I think Odafe Owe coming off a big year. I do think they pick up his fifth-year option, and I think he'll play well for you as well. And, if you can get David Ojabo healthy, that's another guy that could potentially really take a step forward. Let's nail this draft. We're trying to get guys that can come in, have a day one impact, guys that can keep this thing popping for a long time, but also help you win right now in 2024. I think playing like a Raven is critical. Adding players that give you that is critical. And we're not trying to reach, right? I don't think you want to reach for need. I think that's how you start getting in a lot of trouble. But again, we're trying to beat the Chiefs and the rest of the AFC and get to that Super Bowl. So let's go get it done here in the draft here for the Baltimore Ravens. So in the first round, I know it's an extremely popular idea right now for the Ravens to take a wide receiver, and it's not a bad idea. It really isn't. I think guys that could potentially be there, Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin. I doubt Keon Coleman or like a Brian Thomas Jr. are there, but Mitchell and Franklin bring a lot to me, and I think that they would be great additions for Lamar Jackson in this offense. But as much as that could make sense, I'm trying to think about, how do we beat the Chiefs? How do we get it done? Is it adding another wide receiver in the first round this year? Or is it maybe getting creative, trading up a little bit to 26 overall as some edge rushers start to come off the board? You see Chop Robinson's there. You give up a fourth and a 2025 fifth. To me, Chop Robinson has the most potential to be a 15 to 20 sack guy in this class. I think he has the most potential to be a true game wrecker in an AFC title type of game. I think that there's not more than a handful of players in the NFL, if that, right now, that are more explosive off the line than Chop Robinson, who can speed through the top of the arc, can bend and flatten and close on the quarterback. He can beat you on the outside arc. He can rush through you. He can knife inside. I think the Ravens could weaponize this player and have him as a truly dominant designated pass rush type early on in his career. And to me, that's extremely valuable. When you talk about frustrating Patrick Mahomes, I know you might say, we need wide receiver or corner or this or that. We'll get to those positions. But to me, the idea of Chop Robinson rushing and trying to chase around Patrick Mahomes, I think that could give you a chance in one of those big games, right? In the key moments, I think Chop Robinson gives you a chance to really impact Patrick Mahomes negatively. And so for me, again, I don't think there's a player that's more explosive, that has more pass rush potential in this class than Chop Robinson. He's not got the length of some of the elite edge rushers in the NFL, but not every elite edge rusher has great length. I think Chop Robinson, he's got the moves, he's got the athleticism, the physical profile in terms of that bend and that speed and the ankle flexion. I think he could be fantastic for you, and he's been a really good edge rusher in college the last couple years, despite not having massive sack numbers. You go watch him play football, turn on the tape, you'll see Chop Robinson impacting the backfield consistently. And you see teams stop throwing the ball because they just can't block him. They can't. So I think that would be fantastic for the Baltimore Ravens if they were able to land a Chop Robinson. Second round, 62 overall. trying to identify players that play like Ravens. Christian Haynes, to me, the interior offensive lineman out of UConn, plays like a Raven. They have gone to the UConn well in recent past, right? Travis Jones, a guy who could be another candidate to take a bunch of snaps if you lose to Justin Madubuike. Christian Haynes, though, interior offensive lineman, in my opinion, much better at guard than center. Doesn't have really the experience at center. Did try to do that at the Senior Bowl, didn't look great. But you plug him in there at guard, you've got some question marks with your starters there. Obviously, Zeitler could be headed elsewhere. I know he wants to return, but long term, short term, Christian Haynes plays like a Raven to me. He's a little squatty, 6'2", but he has 34-inch arms almost, so he's got great length and certainly incredible proportional length. But this guy, he plays mean, he plays tough, he's got that Raven aggressiveness to him, and I think he's the type of player that would not only help you protect Lamar Jackson from some of these defensive lines that have given you trouble, but also create push in the running game and bring the energy. And I think Christian Haynes can do all of those things. He weaponizes his hands, he can anchor down really well, he can recover really well. I just love the game that he brings to the table in the second round at 62 overall for the Baltimore Ravens. In the third round, now we're getting Lamar Jackson a weapon here for him. 93 overall, Javon Baker out of UCF. He also plays like a Raven, in my opinion. He brings aggression to the football field. He's 6'1", 208 pounds. He can elevate to go up and get the football at an extremely high level. An impressive contested catch receiver. Comes down with the football, body control, explosive leaping ability. But not only is he fairly big and has the ability to go up and get the contested catch, he can separate at all three levels, and I think that that's something that could be really valuable in this Ravens offense, right? Not only the ability to come down with contested catches, but separate. Like, he can plant his foot and go in the other direction and leave a cornerback in the dust. You see it plenty of time all over his tape. You saw it at the Senior Bowl as well. This is the type of player that I think can be a starting Z for you, starting slot for you, and really complement what you have. And if you're looking at a receiving group of, Zay Flowers, potentially OBJ, Rashad Bateman, Javon Baker, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, you're starting to really look at a group that I think, and Nelson Aguilar, can give defenses trouble. And you have so many options that defenses can't just say, oh, well, we'll stop Zay Flowers. Oh, well, we'll stop OBJ. Oh, we'll stop Mark Andrews. No, you add a Javon Baker to that mix, and it makes it a lot more difficult to figure that equation out for defenses, in my opinion. Fourth round, another offensive lineman. Look, Lamar Jackson, as fantastic as he is, and to me, he's, up there among the very best in the league. But the one thing you can say is he has been inconsistent against the blitz. Sometimes he tears it up. Sometimes it gets to him. You saw it in the AFC title game a couple times, right? We're adding to that offensive line. We're trying to protect him as much as we can, get guys that can handle one-on-one situations, handle blitzes. To me, Delmar Glaze at 134 overall in the fourth round is a massive steal at this point in the draft. This is a guy for me that should be a day two prospect. He has incredible length, good athleticism. He can mirror movements at a high level, but he doesn't have to start in year one. And to me, he can play guard or tackle. He did both in college, and no, everybody's kicking him inside to guard. But to me, he's better than Morgan Moses right now. I think that the way he handles himself in pass protection and the way he can create displacement in the running game, and I really encourage people to go watch him. Obviously, from Maryland, a kind of local kid for you to be heading over to the Baltimore Ravens. But to me, Delmar Glaze would be fantastic value. And now you're fortifying that offensive front with Christian Haynes, with Delmar Glaze, two guys that have power, that bring it, that have that energy out there on the football field that you love to see. And now, Ravens running back room, there's going to be some flux. Obviously, you landed a Keaton Mitchell last year. You love that, a guy that I had a early day 3 grade on. This is another player here, Ray Davis out of Kentucky in the 5th round, that I think if he's on the board, he can be your 3-down back. Like, he is explosive. He is low to the ground. He's compact, has very good contact balance, can make you miss in the hole, can make you miss in space, can run away from you, has tremendous hands out of the backfield, and can survive in pass protection. So you're talking about a back that can really help this offense keep things going. J.K. Dobbins, probably on the move. Gus Edwards, free agent. You don't know how things are going to play out there. And I don't think you look at Keaton Mitchell as a full-time starter. So you bring in Ray Davis, who I think can be your 1A to maybe Keaton Mitchell's 1B and get the job done for you at a high level. I think he's ready to be a starting running back in the NFL right now. And I think the Baltimore Ravens would be a perfect fit for him the way he plays the game. 7th round now, 226 overall and 248 overall in the 7th round. We're bringing in some FSU Seminole defenders, secondary players to come in and help add some depth, add some guys that I think could potentially play roles for you that you could be losing. Jerrion Jones, the nickel who can also play outside. He's got great physicality, great explosive athleticism. A guy that was just locked down in coverage, also brings it in pursuit, coming downhill against the run. I think if you want to play him in the nickel, you can absolutely do that if you're losing Arthur Mollett. You can play him outside if you need to as well. Jerrion Jones is a tremendous fit for them. And then at 248, as I mentioned, another FSU Seminole, safety Akeem Dent. I will say he absolutely needs to improve his angles in pursuit. You see some misses there, but as a coverage player who can impact the game on the back end as a coverage safety, I think Akeem Dent can do that for you in a big way. And he doesn't miss like all his attempts coming downhill. He will absolutely, when he gets contact, he will make the most of it. But for me, his best ability early on for you is going to be, impacting the passing game on the back end. Coming in there, if you're losing Geno Stone, maybe Akeem Dent can be the sort of safety that comes in and fills some of that role for you. So we'll see how it all plays out with the Baltimore Ravens. But again, my main thing here was landing players that play like Ravens, not reaching for talent, bringing in guys that fit their culture and bring a lot of talent to the football field. And that's exactly what we did through 7 rounds. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're a Ravens fan, please let me know what you think in the comment section. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.